Very, very direct and precise. Okay, why don't you just try to give it a shot and do it.
All right. Is that, sir, in reference to mine of May 8th?
May 8th?
Why, yes. My reply to the correspondence. Hi, Jenny. We're rehearsing a skit.
Yeah, look, now, you just sit down right here and let us know what you think.
We're rehearsing a skit.
Yeah, look, now, you just sit down right here and let us know what you think. It's a little something we're working on for the script for business writing.
No, it'll just take a minute.
Hey, come on, let us know what you think. Let me set the scene for you. Okay, now look. There are two business people, right? Josephine.
Josephine?
Yeah, that's me.
And Andy have found themselves developing a relationship strictly through the letters they've been writing back and forth to each other on some business matter.
Sounds fascinating.
It is. Put it this way. They're dying to meet each other. Only Andy is struggling with a problem. See, her letters, all of them, are full of stiff, formal business cliches, so he can't understand what she really means. Okay? Now, while Andy is waiting for Josephine to arrive at some cafe...
A sidewalk cafe.
Whatever. He draws the letter from his pocket and he begins to read, okay?
Yeah.
Dear Sir, in response to your correspondence of May 8th in hand... Why? Why does she continue to write me in that convoluted business jargon? Cliche. Surely she has something worthwhile to say to me. She even enclosed a picture. I guess it's her picture. She calls it the attachment enclosed. Even when she finally agreed to meet me, I look forward to seeing you in the near future. When the lady writes about herself, it always ends with, should you have any further questions, please feel free to contact me at your earliest convenience. Oh, but for some reason, I sense that behind that wall of cliches breathes a very special person. It's just that she hasn't learned to write the way I do, the way she talks.
Dear sir. Dear sir.
Josephine? You are Josephine.
Yes, I am the undersigned.
The undersigned?
Yes, I love you for taking time out of your...
Undersigned?
Yes, I love you for taking time out of your busy schedule.
Thank me in advance? In advance of what?
Oh, why, for the discussion to follow below, of course.
Oh, no. You talk just like your letters read.
Is that in reference to mine of May 8th outlining the agenda of this meeting?
Yes, we did agree to meet. But I want to meet the real you, the person, Josephine, flesh and blood.
Well, I am here at my earliest convenience.
Oh, those horrible cliches. Don't you understand what they do to real communication?
Are you referring to previous correspondence?
I'm talking about saying things and writing things in a way that I can understand what you mean.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just can't help it. I just want to be professional.
I agree, Josephine. Business letters need a more efficient tone, more formal than a letter to a friend. But cliches aren't the answer. They're dull, trite.
They are?
Yes, they mask the real meaning of what you're trying to say.
Oh, and your correspondence was so clear, I felt as if I really understood you.
I avoid cliches. I keep my mind focused on what I'm writing, so the words, the sentences are mine. They express how I really feel.
Oh, and I so wanted you to like me, too.
I do. I like you, Josephine, enough to say, come away with me. Let me rescue you.
From my boring life?
From those tired old phrases that make your letters boring, your communication meaningless.
To a new world where we can feel free?
Yes, free to understand each other.
Oh, I agree. With all of the outline conditions above.
That's it. Well?
Can I take my coat off now?
Well,
Just so there's no second act. Now, can I have a cup of coffee?
You didn't like it, huh?
No, it was clever, Norm. It was very clever.
You see, I thought that if students can hear those old phrases spoken out loud, well, maybe they'd see just how inane they can sound to a reader.
I'll have a donut.
You still don't seem terribly impressed. What's the matter? Won't it fit in with the stuff you're writing for this program?
Well, to tell you the truth, Norm, I haven't done that much writing on it yet.
The deadline's coming up.
I know it, Norm. Can I have my coffee? Now, I'm just not so sure about this script.
Not sure? What's that supposed to mean?
Well, this is a telecourse on English composition, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's so much ground to cover, and I just can't see devoting an entire program to writing for business situations.
Oh, I see. You mean there's a difference between writing on the job and writing the English language?
I mean, the students can pick that up later on in life.
Okay. Okay, let's ask Cassie. She's a student. Cassie, tell her. Isn't this something that's you and people in school need to deal with?
Well,
There, you see? I told you so.
That is not exactly what I'd call asking Cassie.
It's just that I happen to know...
Norm, if you'll let me, I do have my own opinions. See, I think writing at work on the job is an important thing to cover.
There, you see?
You know, Gwen and I did this tape yesterday. It's not quite finished yet, but I don't think you'll mind if you look at the part that's done so far. It's interviews with several composition experts that did research in businesses around the country. Well, an important part of their research shows that good writing is an important part on all kinds of jobs. Go ahead.
Beginning writers need to understand that they will have to write after college. There may be a few people that will not have to, but the great majority of people will have to do writing, will have to write after college, and they'll have to do significant amounts of writing after college. Secondly, the kinds of writing that they'll have to do will be varied. It's not only going to be very simple form letter kinds of things, that they will have to do complex kinds of writing tasks. What makes that writing complex is that they will be writing to different readers, and they will have to consider different people's needs and expectations in writing.
We find that the supervisors, the bosses, and the workers know that they are evaluated on the basis of their writing, that they're promoted, and that they gain and lose jobs because of their competence as writers. In some professions, such as engineering, of course, writing is identified as a professional competency. But even it's hidden away, it's tucked away out there.
Many students who go into an engineering curriculum think that probably they won't have to write when they go on the job. Well, our research found that this simply wasn't the case, that engineers do have to write a great deal on the job, and that writing is important in gaining entry-level positions. Let me give you an example. We talked to a company here in Austin that's involved in hiring engineers and other high-technology people. They typically recruit from schools that they know turn out technically competent people. What they don't know is how well the people they recruit can communicate. So as part of their interviewing procedure, they ask the candidate to visit their company, and they ask the person to make a presentation, both orally and in writing, on some technical problem that they know that the applicant will know how to solve. The applicant, of course, doesn't know this. The applicant thinks that they're seriously interested in this particular technical problem. But what the company is really interested in is how well they can communicate orally and in writing.
Okay. See, Gwen thought it was important that we get across the point that writing is important for everyone, even people in technical fields, computers and like that.
Oh, listen, I've got the editing room reserved for this tape that I'm putting together, and I've got to get up there now, okay?
Well, I was just going to say that there are two more.
Keep up the good work. We'll convince her.
It's not a matter of convincing, I'm just questioning. Oh, well.
Well, could I show you the other interviews?
Sure.
Well, these interviews speak directly to people who plan careers in business, science, and technical fields.
Well, I think it varies from one profession to the next, but in highly technical professions, engineering, for example, it's usually the engineer who knows how to write well who's going to advance very quickly in the organization. In fact, we have collected some evidence to suggest that in talking to engineers, for example, a couple of consulting firms, that it's very difficult for engineers in those organizations to advance in the hierarchy, within the hierarchy of the organization without good writing skills, because part of what they have to do is take their technical information and translate it for a number of different audiences. And the people who are most successful at that tend to move up to the higher level positions in the organization.
In fact, I've done a little article that appeared in College English about 2 years ago about the relationship of college composition courses to the world of work, and I checked on some of my former students who were working in the Atlanta area. And it was amazing to me to find that even people who had gotten their degrees in mathematical or computer fields or other technical fields were doing writing on the job. I have one clear instance in mind, a young man who is now a financial analyst. He carries a very complicated calculator wherever he goes. He works with computers, microcomputers, mainframe computers, and yet despite the world of numbers into which he's worked himself, he still has to generate weekly reports on what he does. What he does is actually analyze investment portfolios and things of that sort. I was amazed to find that his production of words actually amounts to between 500 and 1,000 per week. So he has to be able to translate what he knows about numbers and investments into written reports.
You've got material there for a good sequence.
Well, I'm glad it'll help. Oh, Gwen asked me to give you this.
Does it bite?
Oh, Jenny, it's some notes she jotted down. A documentary based on a particular company.
Oh?
I guess that's why she's so late this morning. She said she had to stop by and talk with him.
And she wants me to produce this?
I think so.
Well, I guess I better look it over.
Good morning, Jenny.
Hi, Gwen.
Oh, I see Cassie gave you my notes.
Yeah, I'm looking them over now.
Good. The idea, of course, is to feature the one executive who's in charge of communications for the corporation.
Yeah, I see.
Here are some brochures, something on products and services. Oh, a lot of writing is done in that company. It's typical in that way.
Gwen, I'm not so sure I'm the one to do this.
What do you mean, not the one?
Well, I think Norm would be better. He's had experience in business.
Oh, no, Norman's busy with another tape. Besides, I want your fresh approach.
Well, I haven't worked in a corporation or anything or done any real business writing.
Oh, of course you have, Jenny. How many job application letters have you written in your life? You wrote one to me.
Well, yes.
Very good, as I remember. Clear, readable, very businesslike. And you helped me write the proposal for this course.
Well, yes, I did.
Yes, and every time you write a memo to anyone around here or write a letter to someone we want to interview, that's business.
Well, I see your point. But it just seems to me that we are supposed to be, and up until now we have been, writing a course on English composition.
That's true.
And I feel that this is really a separate subject.
You don't see the connection between classroom writing and writing on the job?
Well, for our purposes, not really.
Well, there is a very definite connection, and there's also a difference. Look, I don't want to make a big thing of this, but I'd like to show you one interview, okay? I had decided not to use it in this course, but I think maybe we should use it after all. Come on. This is an interview by Leo Dell, who's a major authority on business writing. He says how important it is for beginning writers to understand about the writing they are likely to do after they leave college.
They need to learn that when they get out of college, people are going to use their writing. They're going to write a report for a supervisor who's going to rely on that, who's going to take it to a committee meeting. And without having had a chance to explore the topic himself, herself, the supervisor is going to say what the subordinate wrote. And that person is vulnerable and dependent on it. That person needs to know what the writer said. The students that I see, bright, conscientious students, don't know that. They see writing as a mechanical, rote, satisfy an arbitrary requirement. They see it as that kind of activity. They've got to get out of that. That seems to me the major thing for them.
And your point is
that what we're trying to teach here about good writing applies to college work and later on in life.
all right.
Jenny, we're not trying to abandon English composition in this program. On the contrary, we're expanding it, giving it another dimension. There is a difference we have to keep in mind. On the job, one is writing to a specific audience.
Well, I can buy that.
Trying to persuade someone of something or try to get information across.
That's the case for an executive. But how many of these students are going to start off as executives?
Oh, I think you'll find that good writing is essential to anyone who works in business. No, correction, anyone who works at all.
Then why do you have me interviewing only an executive type? Why not other types as well?
Okay, why not? If you think that's what the presentation calls for, do it.
All right. I'll give it a try.
Oh, I'm
I've got it finished. You ladies want to see?
What is it?
It's only the tape I've been working on for the last 2 days. Dr. Joseph Mancuso and students. Hear from Jenny?
She called this morning.
And what did she say?
Oh, nothing much. The shooting's coming along fine. I think she's going to do a super job.
Good. As for this, I want to show it to her the first chance I get. Do you know who Dr. Mancuso is?
Well, I've heard you speak of him.
He teaches a private course in business writing. What he tries to get across is good, solid techniques for writing on the job, but they apply to any kind of writing. Now, this is edited and cut to feature Mancuso and some of his students.
It's always so pleasing for me to see a student make tremendous gains in a short period of time with the writing.
I became very aware of look at who you're writing to, who is going to be reading what you're writing. I think the most helpful thing I learned was to write in a logical flow.
I really have, though, since I took this seminar, made concentrated effort to be very simple in my writing. Of course, I'm realizing who I'm writing for, but I think before I put in a lot of things that were not necessary, and I always try to keep in mind what he said, simplicity. So I have tried to apply that to what I do since then.
Based on my own experience as a technical writer in government and industry, and based on experiences, or rather conversations with personnel managers, it seems clear to me that there is a real need to produce people who can write in business industry. Business and industry now realizes that it's cost effective to have their staff people able to write well. It's a 3-day seminar. It can be a 3-day seminar. The first day I will go to the company in which my participants, if all of the participants are from one company. The second and third days are spent either on-site or in a location in Dallas-Fort Worth, where we discuss the tenets of good writing, their individual problems. I hope by that time that you've got a good bead on why you're using too many words in the reports that you're writing, and how you can avoid doing that in the future. The major problem is what we try to do is have them develop an economical style. That's most important. I tell my students or my participants before we begin that they can expect to excise 25 to 30% of the materials that they currently put into their manuals and technical reports. I would say also that participants who come to the seminar are interested in a grammar, usage, and correctness review.
The first step is, who am I writing to? The second thing I ask myself is, why am I, or what is it that I want to tell them? And I organize that thought. It may be, I may want to tell them 2 or 3 things, maybe just 1 point. And I try to write in such a way that I get to the point quickly and write it so that they can understand it and take any action if action needs to be taken.
I'm impressed. Businesses and technical people are going back to take that special course.
Oh, it's not unusual. I know quite a number of courses like that all around the country.
Because people didn't learn to write in college, right?
Right. The basic things. Taking time to rewrite, to be concise, not to use cliches.
And our program on business writing is essential on our English composition series.
And that's the point I want to get across to Jenny.
Oh, I think she's beginning to accept it.
Good. You know, students can learn it now or they can learn it later, but sooner or later, they're going to have to learn it.
Look at all this. Letters, memos, proposal, report.
What's this one?
Oh, this is a letter written by a secretary. Her boss canceled a big meeting and she had to write the hotel and try to get some of their money back.
And this one?
More of the same kind of thing. People at all levels write a whole lot more than we would think.
What's all this?
Writing samples. I collected them from the people I interviewed on the job.
Oh, you certainly got quite a collection.
The age of information. That's what people in business say they're facing. All of us, for that matter.
I thought computers were taking care of information.
They store and process it, but the information itself is written by people.
So you found enough material for your documentary?
Oh, more than plenty.
Okay, let's see it then.
Oh, well, shouldn't we wait for Norm?
No, he called and said he had to pick something up and he'd be in later.
Oh, come on, let's see it.
Okay. This is built around one company and the people in that company, and how essential writing is to their jobs. The Southland Corporation, headquartered in Dallas, Texas, is the world's largest operator and franchiser of convenience stores. Southland is best known for its thousands of 7-Eleven stores across the United States and in Canada. But it also operates other retail outlets and is one of the nation's major processors of dairy products. At Southland headquarters, writing on the job is a large part of the job.
Well, writing is critical, and not only because of the size of the company, which in itself is a tremendous problem.
It's very important. Communication through writing is one of the ways that we deal with all the various departments. We have 50,000 employees across the United States and across various countries, and writing memos and letters back and forth is how we communicate with each other.
Approximately 50% of my time is spent in writing or reviewing writing of someone else.
My boss is very much into letter writing. He likes things communicated by letter as opposed to telephone call. And so that's very important for me, and my writing skills are very important to me.
I personally write mostly memos within the company, sometimes letters.
The writing that I come in contact with is primarily document writing, document drafting, various legal papers. I do a lot of reviewing and researching of letters that have been sent to us requesting information.
On the job here as a nurse, basically the writing that I do consists of memos to employees and letters to various public service organizations asking for information or help or things like that.
Writing on the job at Southland and other firms includes more than creating pieces of writing. Good business writing is, or should be, everyone's aim. But what is good business writing?
Well, I think the age-old problem in written communications is really saying what you mean, and saying it in a concise, simple way.
It needs to be simple, easy to understand, and it needs to flow well. It shouldn't be choppy. It has to be able to flow from one topic to another or one bit of information to another.
I think it's important to be concise, get your point across with the least words. Make sure that your style is such that other people can read and understand it very easily.
I read a considerable amount of writing that comes in from outside of Southland. My biggest complaint is the fact that it's not clearly written, that people have a tendency to run on a lot in their writing. They don't set out the issues. They don't set out the points that they're trying to make.
Modern business requires effective communications, now more than ever. According to the employees at Southland, Improving writing skills is important for anyone planning a career in business. There is no substitute for clear, effective writing.
I think it's very important for people to realize early on that writing is a skill. Also to be trained in that skill, because it isn't something that you automatically know how to do. There is a considerable amount of difference between sitting down and writing a note to your mother and writing a letter to an attorney or drafting a legal document, or in any other aspect of business, any kind of written communication that you make. And I do believe that it is a skill that needs to be learned.
When I was in nursing school, I never understood why we had to write all those papers. But now I know, because if anything, I have done more writing since I got out of school than I have done ever in school.
They all say that writing is more important than ever. Do you believe that?
Sorry I'm late, but I had an errand to run.
Well, you missed Jenny's documentary.
But for you, Norm, I'll play it again.
First, I have something for you. Now, I have a friend that works in a company down the street, and he took me around to talk to all the people there, and look at this.
Oh, my goodness, look at this. Letters and memos and here's a report.
Jenny, you see, you have to understand, we live in the age of information.
We do?
Mm-hmm. And you know what that means? That means the written word. People are writing on the job today more than ever. Now, you take computers, for example.